Hello, Bob the Squid. He's from Ann Arbor, Michigan, I think. You mostly go to cities with hotels. I'm in Lomé, Togo, West Africa. This is the Ask Andy show. I've been to 90 countries. I've traveled non-stop for 16 years. I have an opinion on everything. Basically, you've heard people talk about every country on the planet, and if not, you met them. I remember this South African girl in Amsterdam. She was amazing. It was a wild, crazy. She was really, almost got me attacked by a drug addict. There's a lot of drug addicts in Amsterdam. Supposedly in Stockholm, Sweden, there's a lot of drug addicts. Can you imagine a heroin addict? I've never seen a heroin addict. Okay. He says, Bob says you mostly go to cities with hotels. Well, yeah. It's really hard to sleep without hard to go to a place without a hotel. Generally, do you ever travel to remote, or is that not what you want? Okay, he hasn't been following me for all 16 years, and I've been on the Amazon River, and if you really look at some of my blog posts from, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago, generally my mode of travel is always the same. I go 50 miles. I bet you can get on the thing, and if you did a search for every city in Togo, I've been to about half of them. I spent and stayed 2 or 3 nights. We went to the border of the Ghana, but me and Mike, this guy from Ghana, I got Mike to travel with me on the back of motorcycles one time. See, when you go to the villages, you really have trouble getting there unless you go by private motorcycle or something, because the transportation just starts getting lower and lower. But me and him went to this border. I took one of my best pictures ever, and we get to the border, and Mike asked, he talks in Ewe or Kabylie, whatever language he spoke. He asked for a hotel, and they said, oh, there is no hotel. I sat down and said, oh, there's a place to sleep. And there always is a place to sleep. And somebody came down and says, hey, you can sleep in my sister's room or whatever. And I paid like $4 a day, and we stayed in they kicked the kid out for a couple days and gave us the room. I've done this, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 times. Do I enjoy it? I love it. I guess at the end of the day, I'm addicted to blogging. I do it every day. I enjoy it. It's a cathartic thing. Self-revelation by talking to myself, by writing to myself. I learn about where I'm at. And normally when I get to one of these villages that are remote, you're off the grid so far. There's no electricity. There's not electricity to keep the thing. I was in Uganda, up in the north of Uganda, and there's no electricity, like 1 hour a day. I was in the uncontacted tribes in Brew. You know, the electricity came on 1 hour. I was actually looking at uncontacted tribes. Probably what Bob did is he just keyed out when I was at the thing. I think he's been reading my blog long enough. But a lot of people just key out when I'm doing something that's not really what they did, and they don't know it. They don't realize that they just key out. Like I'm in Peru, and they some reason think, well, I'm not interested in Peru, and I go do something. I'm one of the few guys on the planet that's got up close to uncontacted tribes. And I want to go farther. I want to take an expedition of camera crew up the river. See, uncontacted tribes are really cool. What happens is, there's always rivers, and they start up in the mountains. And so what happened is the tribe lived way up the hill, and there's no reason to go up there. So this tribe lived up there, and nobody's ever contacted them. They know of each one knows the other one exists, but they just never wanted to come down, and nobody wants to go up, so they're basically uncontacted. And they're sort of, you know, up there in the side of the mountain, up the river, so far that you can't take a boat up there, you can't do anything. That you're climbing up the side of the mountain. And I was, you know, the mountain. I crossed over Brew to the border of thing. Plus, you know, there was a bunch of coca farmers over there. It was pretty cool stuff. But I spent about 10 days blogging. I think my big problem on all this stuff is I sometimes realize that I don't treat the places I'm living as remote. And so sometimes I can be in a very, very remote place, but I'm acting like it's just a walk in the park, because to me it is just a walk in the park. And I'm showing you stuff that is quite off the wall. When I went to Netangu Benin and I went up to Tangita, I was going into a pretty remote area. But there's a combination of things that makes up a fun trip. A nice room where I can hide and watch movies. Transportation, that's thing. The price is right. People to talk to. And I remember in Thailand, I went to Koh Taro Tau. I went to where they filmed. They filmed what is it? Survivor Thailand, and it's a long story. And I went to the island where they actually did it, and I stayed in a cave. I was there for about where they actually filmed the thing, and I stayed in this cave. And everything about the show was faked. Okay, it's just absolutely fake. There was actually a helicopter on the other end of the island, and where they went to do the tribal thing was they had to go there by boat. And they were searching for water, and actually inside the cave there was this fresh water thing that came down all the day. So the whole thing's a complete lie. Complete lie. But I was in the cave, and it had fresh water, and these squid guys kept coming over. Oh, squid. They kept coming over and giving me food and stuff because they were like worried about me. But I was all by myself, and the monkey was stealing my peanuts. Monkeys. There's monkeys in the thing. But when you become isolated, it starts to be very lonely. And so the social thing, because when you go far enough in Africa, nobody speaks French. Like I was just in Dapong, which is, in a way, a pretty isolated village. But I didn't make it into an isolated village, and I talked from there every day. But nobody goes there. I mean, it's not like it's full of travelers. It's full of NGOs, because they consider it the poorest of the poor. But what I don't do, which I'm never going to do, Bob, is I'm not going to sensationalize something that don't need sensationalized. My trip to Brew, going on the plane, needed more publicity than it got. I went to Iraq, I seen 2,700, where 2,700 people had been put into a mass grave. And because I didn't sensationalize it in a way that made it more than what it was, I just document what it is. You know, because most of these guys, when you see them going to remote places, they're bullshitting. I'm sometimes just humorous. Because I wanted to get Kevin Sykes up in Peru, and he was in Nepal, and I was in Nepal just shortly after him. He was staying in a 5-star hotel with high-speed internet, and he was making it like Nepal was one of the most dangerous places. He's like in the danger zone, and he's surrounded with support staff. You know, and the bank, you know, the Kathmandu Post or whatever it was all this stuff is a game. And some of the people, when you see somebody doing it, you got to understand, are they really telling the real reality? And I try to just give as much video as possible anymore to let you see exactly what I'm seeing. It's hard because to document everything. But do I do this? 16 years of travel, you've missed a lot of my, you know, first 10 years, right? Am I going to do it some more? Yes. I'm trying to figure out a way to go to Cameroon, and I'm trying to figure out a way to go to Sierra Leone. You know, it doesn't... My mother's 81, and when I go off the grid for more than about 3 days, she starts to get panicky. So part of me is always trying to keep her happy, because I just don't see that I need to go so far off the grid, and that all my readers. I haven't been blogging for a thing, and a couple of people have been on Facebook trying to get me to say, hey, where's your blog? Where's your blog? Because our newsletter's disconnected. It's just Charlie Foxtrot. I love to go to the small villages, and when I go to a new country, like I'm going to go to the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, I'm going to go city, city, city. My methodology of traveling through Africa is, and if you see all of Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, what I did, I went all the way from beginning of Benin. I stopped at every city 1 hour down the road. Every city in Benin, every city in Togo, every city in Ghana, I stopped at it and just see how I think. Did I get off to the bush? Did I go to the bush? You guys would kill me if I went to the bush. It's so frickin' boring in the bush that there is no African jungle like you're thinking, like Tarzan. Everybody thinks I'm going to go find the Tarzan jungle. When I find it, it'll probably be in Costa Rica. Okay, but if you guys want to go on a tour and you want to go to the bush, I'm more than willing to take you so far away that you have to walk. I'd like to go into Guatemala, and there's these new pyramids out there, and I'd like to make a walk to it. I'm not sure if they got it open up or not. There's, I would like to go on a couple 5-day treks into archaeology areas and things like that. Or in Africa, I was supposed to go with Robin down across from Kinshasa, DRC. We were supposed to take the boat across the Democratic Republic of Congo. I go all the way to Kenya, and she goes, well, she says, I think this is going to be an ordeal. And I go, where have you been? Of course it's going to be an ordeal. Going across the Congo, if that's not an ordeal, nothing's an ordeal. I take some, but when I went to the Rio Napo from Coca, Ecuador I just was looking at the map today, I was one of the first people when they opened up the border to take a boat. We went 5 days through 5 remote villages on the Rio Napo. I have a friend that's wanting me to do the Panama, Darien Gap. I really should do the Darien Gap. I might. That's a good idea. I should really put that on my list. The trouble is I'm getting real tired of being by myself. And when you start going to some of these remote places, you can't get anybody to go with you. They just are. I went on the Amazon River. I went to the Capitan. I went to this village and stayed for 5 days. It was just down the river from Pucallpa. I had to take a boat, get off in the middle of the night. Mosquitoes everywhere. I lived in this guy's house. He cooked fish. Of course, this was the days when we just had, only digital cameras, and I was writing a newsletter once a week. Done it, been there, and I'll do it again, but really hard to monetize when you don't do something right. Basically, I'm on a sinking ship. I mean, the internet's getting cut off all the time. I have to get about 20 products up on Amazon before Google just totally cuts us off. Nothing to do with me. I'm doing better. The website's looking better. We're more professional. We know everything we're doing, and we make more money. Go figure, right? It's the only business I ever did where I did better at what I'm doing. I was better at my trade and made less money. I'm hoping my books and my products sell, and I hope Google takes a dive. Okay, I think it will, because they're really doing it. They got every webmaster on the planet angry at them. So when I'm in remote, maybe I'll try to remember to tell you, hey, I'm in a remote place, because it doesn't look any different than here, right?